that thing about Facebook?
Oh, because we haven't reconnected it to your computer yet.
You didn't connect? I thought I brought...
No, that's from my Facebook. Ignore it.
Oh, it's your Facebook. Okay, good. All right, so we will begin our daily class. For those of you who were never here, we do this every single day, Sunday through Thursday. Okay, usually it's at 11 o'clock. Sometimes we're a little late. Mondays and Thursdays it is at 11:15. And I highly encourage you to join every single class and not miss a single one, because they're all important. Every detail that we're discussing here is important. All right? And if chas v'shalom, chas v'chalila, you didn't yet subscribe to my channel, you need to do it right away before the Gamara class starts, because once it starts, you might get confused and you might get so into the Gamara, you're going to forget to subscribe, and then you won't get reminded the next time we go on go live. And that's a massive problem, because if that happens to you, you're missing all the other content. So right away, hit subscribe, the bell button. If you're on Facebook, make sure to follow. I don't know how to do it in Facebook. I'm not the best Facebook guy. You know Facebook?
No, I don't even know.
You don't know Facebook. You never heard of Facebook. Sefer Aponim. Yes. MySpace. Yeah. Anyways, that's another shtus. All right, whichever. Huh?
Mazel tov on your son.
Oh, Mazel Tov, my son, Bezrat Hashem, Moitzi Shabbos, this Saturday night. All the Bachrim are going to travel to Meron. We've already organized a little van that's going to take some of you guys. I don't know if everybody's going to get in. It's a 14-place van. And we're all going to pack into the Rashbi's caver in Meron, and we're going to cut his hair for the first time. For those of you, yes. Of course. What else do we do?
They usually do like the party. I like your style a lot better.
Huh?
I like when you do the parking outside.
I've seen them do it inside.
No, inside. You go inside and you cut some hair. No, we cut some hair inside, then we go outside to cut the rest. We're not going to cut all of it inside. And then we're, of course, going to have a nice meal, Malav and Malka. Anybody online that wants to fly to Israel to be by this event, you're definitely invited and encouraged to come for the Upshurnish. For those of you who don't know, it's actually a old Jewish tradition. It's more of a Kabbalistic tradition. You won't really find this amongst the Ashkenazim except the Hasidic groups. The Hasidic groups are more into Kabbalah. Well, today you will have some Ashkenazim that do it. Usually it's because their families come from somewhat Hasidic descent. The whole Upshurnish. The whole. No, they don't wait to 3. Some Ashkenazi groups don't. Right? And it's more of it's a Kabbalistic concept. It comes from the. Why do you think we do it at the Rashbi? Because it's a Kabbalistic concept. The Sfardim, who are always very Kabbalistic, they also do this as well, and which means that we do not cut the hair of a child. We do not cut the hair of a boy. We do not cut the hair of a boy until he turns 3 years old. Once he turns 3 years old, then we cut his hair, and that becomes like the official beginning of his education. Because education calm down. Wait a second. Sheesh. Guy wants to know everything in one shot. I can't speak that quickly. Anyways, yes, so the child begins his education at 3 years old with his first haircut. Part of that education is leaving the sideburns. Like, these Jewish people, we have the sideburns. Some people have different type of sideburns. Some people have the curly sideburns. They go like curl, 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 curl. And some people just have more simple ones. In Chabad, we generally have more simple sideburns. Mendel, I'm very happy if you want to come give the class. Okay, I'm very happy if you want to be quiet and listen, but I'm not happy for you not to give the class and make noise. That I'm not gonna handle.
Sometimes I just can't control it. I try so hard.
You try so hard. All right, good. Yes. What are you talking about? Oh, you want like the curly payas like you? Come, show everybody your payas. Give him nice payas.
At least for when we leave our own.
Yeah.
At least leaving our own. Leave the packs. Come on.
Yeah.
Right, leave it all the way. Don't touch the pay. Well, I'll give you the buzz when we get back.
Huh?
Right off.
You want him to leave Meron with nice curly payas? By the way, children, before they cut their hair, it's like really cute curls. Like it curls and
He'll be happy.
everybody will be happy. Good, very good. Now, what is the reason we cut the hair at 3 years old? What is the reason we cut the hair at 3 years old? Anybody know? Why don't we cut the hair till the third child turns 3, and then we cut it when it turns 3? Orla. What's orla? The truth is that there is actually a massive connection between the two. That's actually very true. There is a connection between the two. By the way, could you get like that just in case somebody wants to do you have it? It's on his computer. No, I'm saying he's able to get all the comments. Remember, if any of you want to join this class, we even have some people over here.
Yeah, he has it Spartan hold the same way.
Again, Sephardim do this. Sephardim do wait till 3 like the Chabad, like the Hasidic. Usually it's Hasidim and Sephardim. There are some exceptions that of the Ashkenazi community that also leave the hair till 3. We're about to explain why this is, why we leave a child's hair to grow till 3. I want to remind anybody that's here for the first time that that you could and should engage in this class by leaving a comment. If you leave a comment, it automatically comes to our computer here, and then we can engage with you. If you have a question, generally, if you have a question on topic, we'll answer it right away. If you have an off-topic question, you need to save it to the end of the class in order to ask it. Otherwise, we won't. And we have today, for the first time, we have our modifier. What do we call you? Moderator. Moderator is. What do we call you? Dirtball. Dirtball is going to be moderating, and he's going to be the one deciding whether to ask me the question or not. Okay? Good. What's that? Okay, could he? But he could see the comments on all of them. He could see the comments.
I decided to restream or whatever.
Huh? What's that?
The mods want to know.
You see which comments could you see?
I see YouTube and Kick.
YouTube and Kick. What about Facebook?
Yeah, you want to give me the restream thing?
No, forget about it. Okay, you know what? For today, maybe we'll figure it out for tomorrow. We're not wasting everybody's time here. Okay, let's continue. Okay, so we said that the child, we do not cut a child's hair till 3 years old. It actually does have to do with the rules of Orla. Biblically, if you have a tree that grows, you're not allowed to reap the fruit for 3 years. Okay, 3 years you need to leave the fruit on the tree, or basically it goes to waste, or it goes to natural, whatever it is. You see, there was some Greenpeace people back in the time of the Bible. They convinced them, listen, you know, you need to be a little bit into the environment. So for at least 3 years, don't mess with the tree. That's what they did in the time of the Bible. They would not. By the way, till today in Israel, it works like this. A farmer, a Jewish Israeli farmer, especially if he's a farmer that keeps the Torah, he will not pick the fruit of the tree for the first 3 years. Now, what does that have to do with a child?
But it's also on any tree at any part of the world from anybody, right? Torah has to eat.
So that's a good question. If you know for a fact that it is coming from a tree that's under 3 years old from the rest of the world, you're not allowed to eat it. However, you don't have to check because the majority of trees actually, are more than 3 years old that are giving fruit.
Yeah.
Right? So we go by majority. It's a halacha concept. What's that?
Israel, you have to be machmir and check.
Well, the farmers are meant to be sure, right? The farmers are meant to ensure that it's not 3 years old. And by the way, I'll tell you as a side point, there aren't many trees that could actually grow fruit within the first 3 years. Most fruit trees do not grow fruit in the first 3 years. There's a few exceptions. One of them would be like grapes will grow. Grapes, which is considered a tree according to Torah, will grow grapes within the first 3 years. So you have grapes. And the fact is, what happens if you draft a tree? You know what drafting is? Grafting. Grafting a tree will also be like that, or replanting a tree. So if you take a tree out of the ground and you replant it somewhere else, in many cases, you will have to wait another 3 years.
Take it out of the ground?
Yes, some people say that if you take it out of the ground with all the dirt that's around it and you replant it with the dirt that's around it, then you don't have to wait 3 years. But let's just say you just pull the tree out of the ground and all the dirt flops away and you just have the roots and you replant that tree, you have to wait another 3 years before you can eat the fruit. Yeah.
What if you go into the woods and pick fruit
So again,
for a fact, what do you do then?
So generally, if you don't know, you could assume that it's 3 years, as I told you, because majority of fruit-bearing trees are over 3 years old. And there's a rule of the Torah is that we go by majority. When in doubt, you go by majority biblically. Rabbinically, there are certain situations where we're more strict than majority, but biblically, we go according to majority. So if majority of fruit-bearing trees are more than 3 years old, therefore you can assume that it's more than 3 years old unless you know otherwise.
What if the majority of food inside is kosher, so I have to check it's kosher?
That's a great question. I told you biblically, not rabbinically. Right? And also there's a biblical concept called kavua, which I'm not going to begin to discuss because if I do, then everybody's going to be like, what the heck are you talking, Rabbi? I don't know what you're saying, even the guys in the class, because it's a completely different topic and has a lot of different rules of kavua. There's many reasons why it would be an issue. Yes. All right. Where are you running? Have a seat.
Oh, I would love to have a seat. Bezat Hashem very soon.
Huh?
Bezat
So
Hashem
you come
very
to say
soon.
good morning to disturb the class and you're not even going to
Well,
join
you
the
were
class?
speaking to Zohar.
About the class.
How can I get myself?
Shh. Now you have to sit down. So did you part of Kola? You can be learning here too. Anyways, what are we saying? Oh, we're telling you about the 3-year-old child. The 3-year-old child that has his haircut, his first haircut when he's 3 years old. Okay? The Kabbalah says that, well, actually, it's a quote from the Bible that says a man is the tree of the field, which means the Torah itself compares man to a tree. There's a lot of similarities between a man and a tree, right? Yeah, they do about the same thing, nothing. They just stand there and do nothing. No, just joking. It's a joke, right? Everybody makes fun of men that we're a bunch of lazy bums. What do you think? Is it true? Are we a bunch of lazy bums, men? Some of us, yes. Definitely some men are lazy bums. Okay? But the Torah does compare men to a tree. Okay? And I'm not going to get into it because Kabbalistically there's many different reasons why we're called a tree and how we're compared to a tree. But because the Torah calls us a tree, and the tree, you don't reap the fruit for the first 3 years, Kabbalistically this is represented by the hair. The hair should not be cut for the first 3 years to show that you're leaving this for Hashem. And then once you cut the hair, you leave the payas, which is the sideburns that are also required biblically. And when you're leaving the sideburns, that is the first mitzvah that your child is being taught. Because once your child turns 3, they reach what's called the age of chinuch, which means you need to begin educating your child at 3. Right? I don't know why in the Western world, these mishuganas, these crazy people, okay, they decide that you only start going to first grade and later in your how old you are already? By the time you get to 6, 7 years old when you start being educated. In Judaism, you start being educated when you're 3 years old, okay? That's it. You're 3 years old, you need to be educated. You parents out there, start educating your kids at 3 years old. Teach them how to be a mensch, teach them how to be a good human being, etc. That's when their education begins, at 3 years old. Okay? That was a bit of a side concept that we were talking about because my son, Bezrat Hashem, is turning 3 years old Saturday night here in Israel, and we're going to have a big party where we're going to cut his hair for the first time. We never cut his hair before. Can you believe that? That's crazy, man. He has this long curly hair. He looks like so cute with these long curls, and then we're going to cut them all off. And then you know what he's going to look like?
A chosid.
A chosid. He's going to look like a chosid. All right. Now,
He's going to go from Tarzan to chosid.
to what?
From Tarzan to chosid.
Tarzan?
Yeah, he looks like baby Tarzan.
My kid looks like baby Tarzan?
Yeah.
When did you show me a picture of Tarzan? You have a picture of Tarzan?
Yeah.
No, I don't want to see it right now. We're middle of class. Okay, after class, you'll show me a picture of Tarzan, and then I can decide whether I have to beat you up or not for making fun of my kid. All right, let's continue. We're in the Gemara. We discussed yesterday a back and forth. Ein kategor nase sanegar. Beautiful, very nice. Yeah.
Does look like him.
Yeah, maybe a little. Okay. Oy vey, what am I going to do with my students over here? You think I'm the one that gets derailed? They come and derail my class. What are you going to do? Anyways. Okay, I want to get back. We were saying yesterday, ein kateger nasa saneger, that a prosecutor can't become a defendant. And we went back and forth to try to challenge this. We had an hypothesis. We had critique. And what did we determine in the end? We determined in the end 2 things. Number 1 is that a person who's approaching the Holy of Holies should not adorn himself with gold, because that represents the golden calf. We also said that a shofar, even though you're not going to the Holy of Holies when you're blowing the shofar, nevertheless, the shofar is a way of approaching God. You're approaching God by the shofar, and therefore you should not use the shofar of a ram's horn. Now, of a cow's horn, sorry. You should not use the shofar of a cow's horn. Now, if you remember, there was an opinion that says you could, in fact, use a cow's horn for a shofar. There was an opinion, right? Yeah? Good. Now, what about that opinion? What about the opinion that holds you could use a cow's horn on Rosh Hashanah? Doesn't he worry about the same rule of ein katega nasas aneger? So the Gemara says, Rabbi Yesi Omar Rabbi Yesi is going to tell you the ko omarat ein katega nasas aneger. When do we say this rule? Ein katega nasas aneger hani mili. These words only apply bifnim when you're going to the Holy of Holies. V'hai shefer mibachutz, and the shefer is outside. So, the entire difference between the opinion of the rabbis and the opinion of Rabbi Yesi is whether we apply the rule of ein kateger nasas haneger to something outside of the Holy of Holies, or if this rule only applies to the Holy of Holies. Right? And so again, the rabbis hold that this rule even applies to shofar, and Rabbi Yesi says, no, this rule only applies to the Holy of Holies, and that's pretty much the end of the discussion. I probably should have finished that yesterday, because now we're going to go on to something else, and yeah, that's Rabbi Yesi's opinion. Yeah.
So really, he's arguing, or the Gemara is saying that Rabbi Yossi is arguing with the with just like that conclusion part of
the last correct. So you have to look. You have to look at the hypothesis and take each detail of the hypothesis and apply it. Right. Each detail of the hypothesis must in fact apply. Only the last detail of the hypothesis won't apply according to Rabbi Yesi.
So
Right?
He's just refuting. He's just saying he doesn't buy ref.
He doesn't buy the last concept that says that when it comes to a shofar, the shofar is
Or his equivalent.
like that.
and where do you get Rav Chisda?
He was the first one who brought up
The ein kateger nasas haneger?
No, he doesn't have
First of all, you have to realize Rav Chisda is an Amoira. He's the Amoraic era. He's not arguing with Rabbi Yossi. He's trying to explain the reason of Rabbi Yossi. Right? Yeah? Good.
Good.
Now the Gemara says, "Udeka omrat mipnei shehu keren." However, Rabbi Yossi, he responds and he says to the rabbis, "You're telling me that a keren, that a cow's horn is called a keren and not a shofar, and we say all shofars are called keren. Yeah, kol hashofars nami ikru keren." So now Abaye is trying to explain the argument between the rabbi and Rabbi Yossi regarding whether all shofars are called a keren or not. Right? Again, this is a little bit of Hebrew grammatical mumbo jumbo, but you have to, if you pay attention, I will try my best to explain it properly. Okay? Remember that in the Mishnah, Rabbi Yossi says that all shofars are called a keren. The rabbis seem to say that the cow's horn is called a keren, and the other horns are called a shofar. Right? Abaye says, Hainu taimayu dirabonon. This is the reason of the rabbis. Shofar Amar Achmona v'loy shnayim. Abaye is now going to take our entire discussion and throw it out off the roof. Why is he going to do that? Because he is going to say the reason the rabbis prohibited you from having a cow's horn has nothing to do with the golden calf. It has nothing to do with the biblical references that we quoted 2 days ago. It has everything to do with the fact that the Torah tells you to blow a shofar. And a shofar is a singular terminology, one shofar. How many shofars are there in a cow's horn? 2? How's there 2 shofars in a cow's horn? Yes, they have 2 horns, but so does a ram have 2 horns. What do you think? It's a unicorn? Last I checked, the unicorns are extinct. You didn't know that? Oh, poor you. Right? No unicorns out here. Okay? What's that? A what? A what?
narwhal.
Narwhal? What's a narwhal?
It's like a dolphin with it's like a unicorn dolphin.
A unicorn dolphin?
Yeah.
All right. But is it a horn or is it it's like a spike?
It's like a
Giant corn crab.
Is it actually a horn?
I wouldn't
Like if
say
I
it's a
cut it
horn.
off, if I catch one of them and I cut it off, could I hollow it out and blow it over? Or no? I'm saying again, is it
Nah,
naturally a hollow horn?
I don't know if it is. It would kind of make
Huh?
sense.
Anybody out there know? Maybe we have some scientists out there that can tell us whether this, what is it called?
Narwhal.
Narwhal. It's a tooth. It's a tooth.
So it's like a.
Yeah, where did you find that out? From Rabbi Google? Yeah. Oh, we have a very important rabbi. His name is Rabbi Google, and he is being put out of business by a different rabbi called Harav ChatGPT. Oh, very nice.
Harav ay.
Yes. By the way, I very often use Rabbi Google. When I have a question, I have people come to me with a question that's very difficult. I type it into Google, and boom, the answer comes up or a quote from the place. I mean, I don't trust Google itself, but very often, if they're quoting a place, I can look up the sources, right? They help me find the sources, right? I do it all the time, right? And more recently, somebody came to me with a particular question. I'm not going to get into the question itself. And I actually asked Google, and he couldn't tell me. And then I went to Harav ChatGPT, and he had the answer. So what's it called? What is
ChatGPT.
GPT. ChatGPT had the answer, and Google couldn't find the answer. So I said, I don't know, maybe we should short Google stocks. Be careful right now. Maybe ChatGPT will take over Google. Right? If they know how to organize it properly, anybody from the company of ChatGPT online, listen to me carefully. If you can figure out how to put into the ChatGPT to do everything that Google does, that's it. You're taking over Google. You make billions of dollars. Right now, ChatGPT, I'm not sure how much it's worth, but it's definitely worth a lot less than Google.
It's owned by Microsoft.
Right? It's owned by Microsoft?
Yeah, right.
Oh, that would be a good revenge if they can take over Google. I'm sure they would love to take over Google. Yes. I have a person over here that says Dara Randall. Dara Randall says that you could actually hollow out the narwhal's horn, and maybe make a horn out of it. That would be interesting. All right, Mrs. Dara. It sounds like she knows. I think it's a she, right? I hope it's a she. The name sounds. I don't know. I don't see your picture, but it sounds like a she. You have to be careful today when you use this terminology. People get very offended if you say the wrong thing. Now I have to make another list of genders, right? It's not good enough to have a he and a she. I have to have more on my list, But maybe, anyways, what I'm saying is, I don't know how I got distracted, but if you want to send us a gift, maybe if you're into this, you could find us a narwhal horn and send it to us here, and we'll blow it. We'll blow it like you blow the shofar. We'll see if it sounds nice or not. What do you think? Huh? I have no idea how to get a hold of it. You know how to get a hold of a narwhal, how's it? Narwhal horn? Huh? You go to the Arctic. Very simple, easy task, right? You just walk out the door and go for a hike and you're at the Arctic. Huh? Yeah, okay, so you do it. There you go. You'll bring the horn instead of Dara. There you go. Huh? Huh?
Udka Amarte.
And this that you said.
Oh, and
Okay?
this.
Yes. Let's continue. Thanks for our comments from our guests over here, Dara and some of the other people. We have, again, we have this woman, by the way. I think it's a woman. Louise? No, maybe it's not a woman. I'm not sure. Louis. No, it's probably not a woman. Louis. I don't know who it is. Right? I'm not sure. See, today you don't know, even by names. You can't judge by names. But every single day I get a shalom rabbi greetings from Sydney, from Australia, from Louise or Louis. How do you say it? Louise Cox. Every day, this person sends me a message in the middle of the class and says hi. And whoever else is there could also say hi. It's very nice. It's very heartwarming that somebody comes and says hi to me every morning. Thank you. Where are we? Okay, so Abaya basically says as follows. A cow's horn, you think a cow's horn is one horn? The fact is, according to Abaya, he says a cow's horn is really a whole bunch of layers. A whole bunch of layers. Okay? Meaning it's a little bit like an onion. Right? An onion has a bunch of layers. So according to Abaya, again, I'm not a biologist. I cannot confirm or deny this truth. Maybe Dara, maybe she sounds like she knows biology, maybe she can confirm or deny this, that a cow's horn, for some reason, it's a whole bunch of layers growing onto each other, and therefore it's like multiple shofars inside of each other. That's what Abaya says. Okay? Now, a ram's horn, for some reason, grows one big thing and just grows and grows and grows. However, a cow's horn, it somehow grows a layer and then grows another layer and then grows another layer. Does anybody know? Anybody know if that's actually makes sense according to what we see?
Rachamana?
Wait. I'm going to explain this in a second. But I'm telling you first, what did Abaya say? Abaya basically said that a cow's horn is multiple horns inside of each other because that's just the way cows' horns grow. They grow, then one horn and then a small layer and then another layer and then another layer. Whereas a ram's horn, it's like a bone. It just grows until it gets bigger and it's one solid piece versus a whole bunch of layers attached to each other. That's what Abaya says. Now you want to know how I found that in the words, because here we have a Talmudic student that wants to do it properly. He wants to know it in the words of the Talmud. He's like, that's it. Right? Good. So let's read it in the words. Abaya says, Hainu tamayhu d'Rabbanan. This is the reason of Rabbanan, which means this is the reason to the exclusion of all the previous reasons that we just said. We just gave two previous reasons for the rabbi's opinion. He says this is the reason for the rabbi's opinion, not the previous reasons. Shofar Amar Rachmana. The Torah says shofar. Rachmana means the merciful one, but it's actually in reference to the Torah. Whenever we said Rachmana, the merciful one said something that's in reference to the Torah. Yeah? Shofar Amar Rachmana, the Torah says the word shofar, and the word shofar is singular. V'lo yishnayim, and not two, v'shloisha, and not three shofars. Right? V'ha de para, and this of a cow, kivon de kohi, gildi, since it grows, gildi would be like layers on layers, mischazi kishnayim u'shloisha shofars, it appears as if it's multiple shofars within each other. Yeah? So that's what Abaya says is the true reason of the rabbi's opinion to the exclusion of the previous reasons that we said in the past. All right?
So obviously they're arguing about something.
Yeah.
So the Rabbi would say that everything's a Karen.
So calm down. Now you know what, Shmuel, for the first time here, you mamish surprised me with your Talmudic wisdom. Yeah. And I'm not trying to say that in the past you didn't have Talmudic wisdom, but today you took the Talmudic wisdom to the next level. Okay, what you're saying is 100% correct. When you're learning the Talmud and you hear an explanation for one opinion, you obviously have to realize that there needs to be an explanation for the other opinion. Did we explain the other opinion yet? No. That means you should know that the Gemara will probably do that. I actually say and suggest that people that learn Talmud, you should be able to anticipate what the Talmud is about to say. Okay? You might not know the exact detail of what it's about to say, but you should know what the next discussion should be. For example, if we're telling you the reason for the rabbi, we need to have a reason for Rabbi Yosef, 100%. And that's why I said that you super impressed me with your Talmudic brilliance today, because that means your mind's starting to thinking Talmud. You're saying, hold on a second, you just answered the rabbis, now you have to answer for Rabbi Yosef. You're right. Right? But you have to do one at a time. Right now we answer the rabbis. Once we finish answering the rabbi's opinion, then we're going to go and try to answer Rabbi Yosef's reason. Okay? Okay, good. Now the Gemara first is going to challenge Abaya's reasoning of the rabbis, right? Meaning he says this is the reasoning of the rabbis. The Gemara is going to challenge that notion that that's the reason of the rabbis. What does he say? It teaches clearly that the reason is because it's called a keren and not called a shofar. You're telling me, Abaye, that the reason is that it's because it's like three shofars, one inside of the other, right? But hold on a second. The rabbis in the Mishnah clearly said what? They clearly said that that's not the reason. They said the reason is because it's called a keren and not a shofar, right? So how could you say that this is the reason when it clearly contradicts the actual wording of the rabbis? Okay? So again, you want to get to Abaya's explanation of Rav Yossi. You're like locked on that, and we're going to get to that Bezrat Hashem. But before we even get to that, the Gemara is going to stop Abaye in his track to ensure that his reasoning is sound even before we go on to the next. Okay, very important. That's the way the Talmud works. We don't let anybody get away with anything. Okay, if you say something that doesn't make sense, the Talmud's going to jump at you and forget about it. You're gonna have to deal with it. All right.
Wouldn't it make more sense though to hear his explanation about Rabbi first?
No! Because if you're saying garbage, you need to get thrown out right away. That's it. Okay, you want to, just let me finish talking. I want to tell you everything. I want to tell you everything. And then I have to prove to you that the first thing that you said is full of garbage. No. If you say something that's full of garbage, let's stop you right there and say you're full of garbage and throw you out just like the garbage belongs. Right? Throw it out. Zel. Right? You have the people, they hakachai. No, let me finish. I said, why should I let you finish? You said garbage. Why should I let you continue saying more garbage? Now I need to take out 5 garbage bags instead of 1 garbage bag. What's wrong with you? Shh. Listen to me till the end. Listen to all my garbage before you deal with it. What kind of garbage is that, Shmuel? Huh? You're not sure?
No, it's like, it makes sense. Like, okay, you said his opinion, and then after his
Yeah.
opinion, now we argue.
No, if you say your opinion and your opinion doesn't make sense, we're going to attack you right away. We're not going to let you say more opinions that don't make sense, and then we're going to have to attack all of your opinions simultaneously. No. You may said an opinion, it doesn't make sense, we're going to challenge you right there and then. Right? And once now if you resolve that your opinion actually makes sense, now maybe we could, now maybe we could listen to the next thing you have to say. Right? That's the way the Gemara works. The Gemara doesn't let you just talk as long as you want, right? And then expect everybody to listen to you, and then we try to prove that you said 10 things that don't make sense. No. First, you said something that doesn't make sense, we're going to deal with it. If you can prove that it makes sense, okay, so we'll go on to the next thing. No problem. Right? Good. You understand? Good. So right now we're challenging Abaye's reasoning, because Abaye, what does he say? Huh? Abaye basically says the reason for the rabbis is because it's multiple shofars, but the rabbis don't say that. The rabbis say the reason is because of the terminology, of the usage of the words. Right? So the Gemara answers, Chada v'yoid ka'amar, just like we answered with the previous rabbi, that the rabbis are saying one reason, but they're also adding a second reason. Chada, there's one reason, v'yoid ka'amar, and it's telling you another reason. Right? The shofar echad amar achmana, because on one hand the Torah tells you to use one shofar, v'lo shnayim v'lo shloisha shofars, and not 2 or 3 shofars. V'oid, and there's another reason, b'pleishu keren. Now that we resolve that Abaye is actually speaking normal and actually saying legitimate suggestions, now we're going to go and try to deal with Rabbi Yossi, okay, like you wanted to, okay. Rabbi Yossi says as follows. Rabbi Yossi Amar Lacha, this that you said that the Torah tells you to use one shofar for shnayim shleisha shofars. Since that they are connected to each other, they're really, even though there may be multiple layers within the shofar, but they're all connected as one, chad hu, it is considered one. Because they're all connected, they're considered one. And this that you argued that a shofar of a cow is called a keren, he says, Kol shofars nami yikru keren, all shofars are all called a keren. Right? Now the Gemara is going to go on to a different topic, which we are going to learn tomorrow. We're not going to go on to this topic now. Which one? So there's 2 answers, because again, we're basically saying that there's 2 reasons. Abaye is basically concluding that there's 2 reasons for the argument. There's one reason that they're arguing on the technical wording of the Torah, okay, Keren versus shofar, and there's a second argument that is whether you can use something that appears to be multiple shofars inside of each other, okay. The fact that a cow's horn seems to be multiple shofars, one inside the other, that Rabbi Yossi says, yeah, but even though they might all be inside of each other, but they're all attached to each other, you can't really separate them, right? Yes, they might grow in layers, and there might be a bunch of layers, but you can't really separate these shofars. They're all connected. They're all attached, right? Maybe you could, but the fact is, you need to do effort to detach them. It's not like two separate shofars. It's really one shofar, okay? And therefore, he says that because they're all connected, they're considered one shofar. That's one. Number two, he says all shofars are called a keren, not just that of a cow's horn. All right? Now, the next part of the Gemara we're going to learn tomorrow, Be'ezrat Hashem, and the test, as we usually have, will be on Sunday, Be'ezrat Hashem. Okay? I do want to remind you guys something very important, which I'm hoping you guys online will appreciate as well. Okay? It's very nice to come to a Talmudic class and to hear a rabbi talk and maybe even entertain you for a little bit and give you time to spend on your own, just sitting there and watching a screen. Okay? It's very nice, and it might even be very comfortable, and it might be a good experience, and it might even connect you to God in some way, shape, or form. But there's a better way to get connected to God. You know what that is? That's to actually learn it on your own after the class, or to take the class and bring it into something beyond the class. Okay, and that's why I cannot emphasize more the importance, as I've emphasized to you in the past, that this class is all here to encourage you and to enlighten you so that you should be able to learn the Talmud on your own outside of the class. Okay? And for all of you, those online, is also for you. You should try to learn the Talmud on your own outside the class. If you want to learn the Talmud that we're learning here so that you could kind of get what's going on, we're on Tractate Rosh Hashanah, page 26a. You should learn it on your own. If you want help learning Talmud on your own in the original language, you should somehow get a hold of me. I'm sure you could figure out, if you already figured out how to get online, I'm sure you could find me. I'm on Facebook, on YouTube, on email. I got all that garbage, everything. Okay? Get a hold of me and we'll help you try to figure out how to learn it on your own. But I'm telling you that the true learning experience of Talmud, it's uncomparable when you're actually trying to learn it yourself with your own book versus you trying to listen to me talk to you in a class. It's a different world completely. And by the way, learning on your own, studying on your own is actually going, in many ways, connects you to God in a stronger way than just listening to somebody who's telling you important information. So I want to encourage you all that as soon as the class is done, you should be in the zal right behind me, sitting there, studying with each other, and getting to the end and to understanding the details of the Gemara in the actual words of the Gemara, because that is where you're going to get the most out of this experience. Right? We have people here sitting at the table that could testify to this, right? No? I'm all alone here?
Yeah.
Huh? Yes. Yitzchak over here, every day he goes into the zal and he sits there and learns, and you could see his face is shining like red. People ask me, how's my face shining so much? Because I'm talking with such passion. The answer is because I actually learned the Gemara on my own. I didn't just listen to another rabbi. If I listened to another rabbi, I would be like this guy here. No, you got to get into it. You got to get into it. You got to put your energy into it, because that's the way you connect to God, by putting your energy into the study, right? You got to put your passion into studying, figuring out, and understanding godliness. It's not just something that you just easily comes easily. It requires effort, just like anything else in the world, right? You want to be professional at something, it requires effort. You want to connect to God, it requires effort as well. Nothing comes easily. Put in your effort, and that's that. Okay? And that's going to be the end of the official program. And now I will open the floor to questions, which means anybody online or in this class that wants to answer a question about the class or about anything else that you think I have an answer to your question, this is a good time to ask those questions. We've gotten into some really interesting discussions in the past based on questions from people online, like you, right there. Yeah, I'm talking to you, whoever's watching. There's a few people, it says over here, watching. And if you're watching, then you're one of the people I'm talking to. You can put in a question in the comments, whether you're in Kick, whether you're in Facebook or YouTube. You literally put a question in the comments, and I can see it, and then we can try to deal and try to answer those questions. All right, your questions, what? Yes, last night, overnight, I finally hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. I want to thank all you guys. If you didn't subscribe yet, you should be more than 1,000. But yes, we hit that official, it's like official ceiling. You hit 1,000 and then, yes. So we got 1,000 subscribers yesterday. Thank you for subscribing. And anybody that has a question, feel free to ask right now. This is your chance. If you're in this live, if you're watching this after the live session, then maybe not. But if you're watching this live, you type a question, and I see it right here on my screen, and we can deal with it as follows. Anybody have a question here? On topic or off topic, and it doesn't make a difference.
Are you allowed to remove the horns from like a cow so that it can't gore another cow?
Why wouldn't you be allowed to do that? Yeah, I mean, if you are allowed to, first of all, there's no prohibition of removing a part of an animal if there's a reason for it. Obviously, you're not allowed to give an animal pain for no reason. But if there's a reason, like you're saying, you want to make it safer that it shouldn't hurt anybody, you would be allowed to do that. You're not allowed to eat from an animal that is still alive, or that actually you're not allowed to eat from an animal if the part of the animal was removed when it was alive. So, for example, if you cut a part of an animal off, let's say, for example, a cow, gets an injury, and the veterinarian is like, listen, we got to cut his leg off, and so you cut the leg off the cow off. You're not allowed to eat that cow ever, even if the cow dies later. You're not allowed to eat a piece of an animal that comes. You're not allowed to eat a piece of an animal that was removed when the animal was alive. What's the exception?
It's very, 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 very out there.
Yeah.
If the mother cow was shechted and was pregnant,
Right.
and the baby was alive,
Yeah.
then when that baby grows up, it says already considered as if it's shechted. Then maybe
Right.
if you amputate the leg, then
It's a good question. By the way, I'm not sure if that is the case. Meaning, if you can kill the animal without slaughtering it properly in that case, but I don't think you could eat from it while it's still alive. I don't think so. And by the way, that is one of the Noahide laws as well. So meaning that's not just for Jews, it's part of the universal code. Everybody must keep that rule. You're not allowed to eat from an animal you're not allowed to eat a piece of an animal that was removed while the animal was still alive. Right? Yes, that's one of the rules. That's that. Anyone else that has a question, a comment? Yeah.
Inside the stomach, you're allowed to kill it with a bow and arrow to eat meat?
Correct. If again, not while it's in the stomach. If you slaughtered a pregnant cow properly kosher, and then you remove the fetus from the cow that was slaughtered properly kosher, that particular fetus does not need to be slaughtered according to kosher laws. It can be killed in any way, shape, or form, and then you could eat. But you do have to kill it. You cannot eat. You cannot eat it piece by piece. Yeah. What's that? Yeah, I hate to say this. You're not allowed to cause unnecessary pain to animals in any way, shape, or form. As a matter of fact, this morning, I found there was this cat. There was a little kitten that was trapped in a particular place, and its mom was afraid to go get it. So I went and got it. I felt so bad for this poor kitten. It was like stuck, and I had to go climb down. This kitten almost bit me. I had to like hold it in place with a stick. It was like making with his teeth, like they go like this. When your cat does that, you don't go near it. But I basically held it down with a stick in a certain way, and then I moved it out of the place. And I think it was very happy, and it was a very sweet, to help the kitten get out of this little trap. I did that. I was thinking of putting it on video that I would have went viral. And I said, listen, we have to stick to our channels in general. We're going to come like everybody, all the other channels that show you saving the animal. We could, maybe I should. Maybe we should do that. Anyways. All right, we have, every morning I do the Shema. It is good for the soul and getting close to Hashem. Yes. Is it good for the soul? It's a question. Of course it's good for the soul. Why else do we do it? When you say Shema in the morning, you're basically connecting with Hashem in a very special, powerful way. It's a very good thing for you to do. Yeah.
I find it at least concentration without Shema.
Without Shema, you can't concentrate?
Without Shema, at least concentration than the other Shema.
But at least, maybe you should try to concentrate, and that will even help you more. All right? All right, we're going to give you about 10 seconds, 15 seconds. If you want to type quickly a question, a comment, something that you want to share in class, we'll be happy to entertain it if it's something relevant to what we do here. And yes, if you're not sure, just type it in anyways, and I'll decide if it's not we'll anyway.
Springfield, Ohio, eating people's cats and dogs and the geese at the park.
Why are Haitians eating cats and dogs?
And the geese at the park.
And well, first of all, the geese are kosher animal, probably many of them, right? What's wrong, The cats and the dogs, I don't know. I don't like eating cats and dogs. I never ate cats and dogs, but I don't like the idea. And I can't answer you why these Haitians are doing it. I didn't even know that the Haitians are doing it. You just told me that they're doing it, but it's part of a voodoo.
There's also, do you know why they,
Yeah.
do they get some kind of power out of like torturing animals or with some kind of like dark magic?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I never learned dark magic, so I can't tell you, but I could tell you that it's 100% prohibited for every single human being in the world to eat an animal while it's still alive, and if they're eating an animal while it's still alive, they're breaking the Noahide laws, and the Jews have to go in and explain to these people and say, I'm sorry, this is not the way to go. You should not be eating animals while they're still alive.
You have a responsibility to go and try to prevent them from doing it?
100%. By the way, I'm going to share with you something, right? Somebody, we got to get some content for our YouTube channel over here, but I'm going to share with you something that a lot of people don't know. A lot of people say, Jewish people, we don't proselytize, right? You ever heard that? Jews don't proselytize. That's actually wrong. Jews are actually required to proselytize, okay? You think this is funny? Jews are required to proselytize. However, where people get confused is that Jews are not required to try to get the whole world to follow Judaism, right? We're not required to make everybody Jewish, right? So we're not going to go and proselytize to try to get somebody to become Jewish. However, Jews are meant to proselytize. We're meant to go out there and preach the universal values of Noah. We're actually required to do that, which means if we see that non-Jews are breaking the rules of Noah, then we need to try our best to convince them and to encourage them to go in a godly path. Which means we're not proselytizing to try to convert, because we're not trying to convert everybody to Judaism. It's not actually important in Judaism for everybody to be Jewish, but we are meant to try to teach morals and ethics, and according to the Noahide laws, we're required, not just an optional, we're required to do our best to ensure that non-Jews do not break the moral codes of God, the biblical values, etc.
Wow.
Yes.
So what if we tell them not to? We do everything we can, and they refuse to. Are we allowed to use force?
Again, that's actually a good question. No, it's a good question. Are we allowed to force biblical values on the Gentiles? The simple answer is that if we had the power, we really should. Meaning, if we had the power, if we're saying, okay, well, if we're going to attack them, then who knows? We'll just go to jail forever, and we won't be, or maybe they'll kill the Jews. There is a strategic element to this. Okay, and again, you have to realize that the biblical values for non-Jews are very limited, but they're very important. Those particular values. One of them is not to eat an animal while they're still alive. Another one, not to kill, not to steal. I mean, if we see non-Jews that are killing for no reason, we should deal with it. For example, I spoke about this before. We have in America this gang violence. It's unfortunate, but if we have an ability to go speak to these communities that are having gang violence and tell them that this is not what God wants, God doesn't allow you to just go kill people just because they wear a different bandana than you, right? Or they have a different tattoo, or they're part of a different group, that you're not allowed to just kill somebody for that reason. Now, as Jews, we're required to try our best to do whatever we could strategically that makes the most sense to prevent the non-Jews from engaging in immoral acts and prohibited acts by God based on the Noahide laws. We're actually required to do that. It's not an option. And so if you want to ask your Jewish friends, say, do Jewish people proselytize? And of course they'll say no. And you're like, wrong. Jewish people are meant to proselytize. Again, we're not trying to get people to convert to Judaism, but we need to try to convince them to be moral, healthy, happy, godly individuals. Yes. Yeah. We have a question over here. It came a while ago. I can't read it because he puts the computer so far from me over here. What does it say there? How about, you should have it. Where's our moderator?
How about a lizard skill?
Yeah. That's a good question. That's a good question. You're saying that the animal lets it off by itself, meaning It's a good question. It's a good question. What would be the rule if an animal, like let's say for a snake, the snakes, they shed their skin. If you had a way of eating that skin, could you eat that skin? No. Huh? It's a good question. The truth is, I don't know the answer offhand. I have reason to think that you're not allowed to. Again, it's not kosher, but what about a non-Jew? What about if the person's non-Jewish? They're allowed to eat non-kosher. right? Kosher is only Jews are required.
We're allowed to eat them where they're alive.
Yeah, what?
Fish.
Yeah.
You pull it out of the water.
So that's actually a good thing. And by the way, there's a talk about for Jews versus non-Jews, and it could be that in that case the Jews are easier than the non-Jews. I believe so.
Rabbi,
Anyways,
can non-Jews eat each other?
first of all, what do you mean? You're saying
It's not kosher.
so you're saying is cannibalism allowed according to Torah? That's what you're asking me.
Yeah.
What kind of questions I'm getting over here?
No, because
It's not?
Jews and Gentiles cannot benefit from a corpse. Actually, wait, it might be a Jew cannot benefit from a Jew or Gentile corpse.
No, I think you can't benefit.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that applies to Noah.
The fact is that you're not allowed to kill somebody, but if somebody's already dead, at least for non-Jews, there's no prohibition. So if somebody died, if somebody's already dead for whatever reason, right, a Gentile is not necessarily commanded not to eat it. Now, I'm not saying you should eat it, right? You can say, listen, this is a human being out of dignity. Out of dignity, you can decide you don't want to eat a human being. That's fine, right? But the question is if it's required. If it's required, and the simple answer would be, from what I understand, is it's not required of a Gentile not to eat human flesh. Of course, they're not allowed to kill, but if somebody dies naturally or by an accident or whatever it is, if they so choose, we cannot say that they're doing something wrong. Okay? That doesn't mean they should choose it, and maybe they should be more refined, but that's their own choice. A Gentile could choose to be, listen, I don't think it's nice to eat a human being, so they won't eat the human being. They can choose that. But the question is if they're required by God not to eat. From my general understanding, they're not prohibited from eating, they're not prohibited by God from eating human meat.
So Chief Barbecue down in Haiti, carry on.
Chief Barbecue Haiti. I know that's a pretty gruesome answer, but listen, you got to be honest. That's and I think it's important. Many people have morals and ethics, but morals and ethics, you have to understand what morals and ethics are based on God, and what morals and ethics are just what feels good in your time and place. There's a lot of things today that people think that this is normal when it was just made up at some point. I'll give you a simple example. Today, they say that when do you turn an adult? When do you become an adult today? 18. Who made that up? Where'd that come from? Where did the number, could somebody explain to me? I've asked many people, where does the number 18 come from? What is the number 18 based on? It sounds like some idiot decided one day that 18 becomes an adult and boom, that everybody started accepting it. Yeah, but weird, what exactly? Now, I'll tell you, for example, in Judaism, we have 13 becomes a man. What is that based on? It's based on puberty. Because once an average person, an average man, when they become 13, that's when they start growing here in certain places and they start becoming a man. That's actually when it happens, at the age of 13, approximately. Right? So even though, yes, 13 is biblical, yes, what are you looking at? Chavav, yeah. Even though 13 is biblical, right? There's a biblical basis for 13, but the biblical basis is based on the human anatomy, the way that our biology. As a matter of fact, that's why in Judaism, a woman, she becomes an adult at 12, because a woman, when she's 12, she matures like a man. She also starts growing hair in certain places, and she also begins to mature in the way of an adult. And that's why we say, in Judaism, we say a woman when she's 12, a man when he's 13, because that's based on his biology. Where on earth did the 18 come from?
It actually used to be 21, and then they reduced it down to 18.
Who 21? But what 21?
Before January 1st, 1970,
Yeah.
it was 21.
What was 21?
The legal age of being an adult.
The legal age was 21? They brought it down to 18. But why?
Military draft.
So yeah, exactly. Some army wanted more soldiers, so they decided 18. Now everything 18 is an adult, before 18 is not. I mean, where did that come from? That's just something that our society came up with. And that's why I want to say there's God's morals, which are hard, rock solid, that don't change, that are eternal, they're for every single generation. And then there's the morals of our generation. The morals of our generation, right? Okay, so that's what we accept at this time, but they're not necessarily rooted in a hardcore godly law. All right? Any other questions? Anybody? By the way, anybody online want to ask a question, type it into the comments. And we're about to end because I don't see any questions here. If we do have any questions right now, right as we're about to end the class, If you type it into the comments, we will deal with your questions. Anyone? Should we do a countdown? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. It's not true. It is?